Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the U.S., killing 1 in 4 Americans each year. The American Heart Association reports that more than 6 million Americans are living with heart failure and 900,000 new cases are diagnosed every year. In today's sponsored segment, cardiologist Dr. Daniel R. Ben-Simon joins us to talk about the symptoms of heart failure and treatment options. And then Chris Rice is his patient and has a pretty inspiring story about his journey to a new heart and how treatment with a new heart pump saved his life. Good morning to both of you. Doctor, let's start with you. Good morning. Doctor, let's start with you. What is heart failure and what are some of the symptoms?
You know, heart failure is a condition where the heart pump or the heart muscle can't support or can't pump enough blood to the body. So people get short of breath, they get fatigued with their daily activities, they can get swelling in their legs and fluid in the lungs. And like in Chris's case, he had symptoms very similar to bronchitis. He was short of breath, he was coughing, and really quite prominent symptoms.
Okay, Chris, let's talk about your story and your situation and what kind of brought you to this point.
Okay, initially, my story started in 2002 at the age of 36, and I had a virus that just attacked my heart out of nowhere, and it caused my heart to swell up, causing dilated cardiomyopathy. And but you know, my symptoms were to begin with, I started experiencing symptoms of bronchitis, reoccurring bronchitis issues, colds that I couldn't get rid of, coughing, weakness, shortness of breath, couldn't walk across the floor without giving out. And so I went to the hospital and I wound up spending 16 days in the ICU there with heart failure. And after I recovered for that 16 days in ICU, I got out, and I've lived 16 years with heart failure, but kind of living a normal life up until the end of 2016, which those symptoms started showing their ugly face again, and I wound up back at the hospital with acute heart failure, which eventually led to the heart pump from Abbott.
Okay, doctor, let's talk about this treatment and this heart pump really helping to save lives.
Yeah, you know, fortunately, most people, as Chris's story kind of highlights, most people, 90% of people with heart failure do great with medicines. They get they feel better, the symptoms go away, and in many cases, they get completely better. But for 5 or 10% of people with heart failure, about 300,000 patients, they get worse. And previously, all we had for that patient population was a heart transplant. But fortunately, now we're getting other therapies for people who aren't candidates for a heart transplant, or people like the ex-Vice President Dick Cheney, people who can't wait for their transplant. They get a heart pump as a bridge to that transplant.
Okay, so impressive. Now, let's talk about this pump. Can it be a forever situation, or as you said, is it just kind of a wait and see until that transplant happens? Kind of talk big picture for us.
Yeah, that's great. You know, there's a couple situations which we use the heart pump in. It's called a left ventricular assist device, an LVAD. There are several companies that make them. The newest one on the market is the HeartMate 3 device. But the situations where we use them, one is bridge to transplant. Somebody's waiting for a transplant, but they're too sick to get it right now, and that we bridge them. And there's a group of people where it's called destination therapy. They're not candidates for a transplant for various reasons, but still have quite advanced heart failure, and we use that pump as sort of their transplant. And the average lifespan in that situation can be 5 years, but we have people out to 15 years on these pumps.
Fantastic. So much hope for such a terrible situation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do have more information waiting for you online at goodforyoutod.com. Appreciate you.